Compliance. The major limitation of the Stop FGM Act of 2020 is the U.S. government's compliance with the statutes outlined in the Act. To be clear, the intention of the Act to concretely outlaw FGMC reflects a desire to protect survivors and people assigned female at birth who are at risk of the practice, and is clearly not the problem. However, the implementation of the Act, or lack thereof, reveals the true indifference the Department of Justice shows towards gender-based violence. Section 4 of the Act commits the Attorney General of the United States, along with a few other parties, to make annual reports containing number of people subjected to FGMC and protective measures taken by the federal, state, and local agencies to educate and assist communities and key stakeholders in FGMC. Upon scouring the web for these reports, the most recent report was made for the year 2023. Prior to this report, there was one report made for the year 2022, and another made for the year 2021. While these reports do contain important information, such as surveys reported by the CDC, and are comprehensive following the minimum reporting requirements established by the Act, it does beg the question, why are there so few reports? The Act was established January 5th of 2021, and we're currently in 2026. By now, in compliance with the Act, which requires annual reporting, reports from 2024 and 2025 should have been published, but they're missing. They don't exist. So, why did the Department of Justice and the Attorney General stop making these reports? I suppose it's a simple question of priorities. The Department of Justice does not prioritize complying with Section 4 of the Act, and thus does not produce a report. As a result, people assigned female at birth are neglected by the very institution swearing to protect them from gender-based violence. And believe me, the institution did swear to protect. In fact, the Department of Justice published a Human Rights and Special Prosecutions newsletter in 2021 about the ratification of the Stop FGM Act of 2020, stating that they were, quote, committed to eradicating this harmful practice. Where is the commitment? Where is the compliance to the Act, to the promises sworn? Are they in the room with us? Furthermore, the same newsletter emphasizes people should contact Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, if they know anything about suspected cases of FGMC, another disappointing lack of care shown by the Department of Justice. We should have known the Department of Justice did not intend to protect AFABs based on the newsletter pawning the responsibility of FGMC cases to ICE, an institution notorious, even in 2021, for perpetuating institutionalized racism rather than helping people. Moreover, the passing of responsibility to the Human Rights Violators War Crimes Center at ICE suggests a subtle but not unnoticed prejudice against immigrants. Simply put, FGMC is not just an immigrant problem. While immigrant populations are at risk of FGMC evolved in the West outside of immigrant populations and Eastern cultural influence in the form of clitoridectomy, which occurred as a heavily medicalized practice until 1989. Still, the husband stitch, an underrecognized form of FGMC, was reported to occur at the hands of Western gynecologists as late as 2015. This is all to say it's not just an immigrant problem, but a human rights problem, one that the Department of Justice has lazily pushed aside and failed to address. So, what can we do about this? Good old-fashioned lobbying is the answer. We must demand for the Attorney General Todd Blanche to stop twiddling his thumbs and do his job. By going to the Department of Justice's website, filling out a contact form, and requesting for the annual reporting to be resumed, you can make your voice heard and ensure accountability. It's not your job to make sure the United States government has integrity, but it is a humble request I ask of you as a means to help protect our communities.